we're allergic to praise. We're allergic to recognition, although we all crave it.
Why is it so risky? Why for so many is this notion of being open and okay with receiving so risky?
So when someone offers help, I'm like, my instinct is like,
I got it.
Why the hell are you offering me help? Like, why do you think I can't do this on my own? I've been doing it on my own. And then that script just runs like crazy.
But I'm tired as fuck, but It's okay. I have it all under control. Everything is fine.
Hey, and welcome to the Living Richly podcast. We're so glad you joined us again this week. And, last week I was having a conversation with someone and they complimented me on some things that I had done for them. And I immediately dismissed it, played it down, kind of came up with all these reasons why it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Why is it so difficult for us to receive compliments, to be on the receiving side of others giving, whether it's praise or help? We're gonna unpack that today. We're gonna look at that. We're gonna talk about how we kind of move past that and why it can be keeping us from experiencing real joy, living our life fullest. There's some gift that comes from the receiving game. Is it just me? Or do you guys struggle?
I think this is a you thing, dude. Like, honestly, I think this is a you thing that you need to work on.
Kate, let me start with you because clearly I'm not going to get much from him. What about for you? Is this something you struggle with? Is this something that
I think everyone struggles with it. I think there's areas of my life I've improved on, which I'm happy. I think receiving a compliment today for me, I can handle way better than my insecure younger self. I think that's part of growth. I think that's part of when you start believing things yourself and your worthiness and you do the work. So that part for me, better. Far from perfect, but better. I think when it comes to receiving help, that for me is my number one. That's still today where I struggle. So if someone offers me help, my first instinct is why? Do you think I'm failing? What am I not doing right? That's where my head goes. So work in progress on both, but some are better than others.
Yeah, mine's the same. Asking for help or accepting help, although I am better at it.
Yeah.
But then also accepting compliments and reading things that people will write about me. And I don't know why I think it's because I don't want it to seem like I'm conceited or it's
sure.
Yeah,
I think that's a big one for people. It's almost like we're allergic to praise. We're allergic to recognition, although we all crave it.
Yeah.
And yet when we receive it, for me, I think definitely I'm much more comfortable on the giving side of the equation. And actually, one of the life scripts that I continue to chip away at is useful Eric versus whole Eric. And I'm moving towards whole Eric, but I operate, I think, still a lot of the time under useful Eric. And so when I'm in the receiving position, I don't feel useful. And you and I have had many conversations about I'm a burden script, right? I don't want to be a burden to people. So usually when people are giving in my direction, I'm more uncomfortable. I'm way better, like you said, I'm way better than I was when I was younger, but I still recognize pretty strongly. And that's part of why I love this show, because the topics make you kind of take a hard look and you go, oh. Right. Yeah. I still struggle with this big time. And at the core of it for me, and we'll explore it more, I'm sure, during the conversation, but is control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your party trick? What's your go-to trick when somebody does offer help or compliment or give to you? What's your typical reaction? What's your first to do?
Oh, I deflect and I spin it back on them. Members will always say at the gym, oh, I couldn't do this without you and you. And my default is always, I may have laid the tracks out, but you're the one that drives your bus.
You're doing the hard work.
You're doing the hard work. Always, always, always.
Oh my God. That's like a script from my playbook. I do the same thing.
My go-to is if someone offers me help, I'm I'm good. I'm fine. I got it. I don't need it. Nope.
Why'd you get so hostile all of a sudden?
Because that's how it comes out of my body actually at the time. That's my go-to. I will just not, I'm good. I got it. Even though I'm drowning, I won't accept it.
Yeah, I do the same. Deflect. I downplay it. Oh, it was nothing, right? Or just change the fucking subject. Like I just and so anyway, and we move on to something else. Yeah.
I love having conversations with you where I'm celebrating something you've done, and you'll kind of you'll it's all right, but we got to work on this, and oftentimes I'll be like, and you could answer, thank you.
Yeah, actually every time I get that text, I'm like, right. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah. Now, we're not always talking about massive, big things here. Yeah. It's often the small things that we struggle with, maybe more. If somebody wants to hand me $1 million, oh no, please, I think I'm good to take that. It's the small things, and so maybe any examples. Let's see how much of our readers and I'd love to have listeners and those watching make comments and share their stories. But what's an example of something small where you struggled recently?
You know what? I didn't have anything written down for this specifically, but this just popped into my mind, or at least this is what resonates with me. So when on Mother's Day, when my girls, and I love cards, like I love cards. I love just, nice messages, things like that. And the message that my girls wrote in my Mother's Day card made me emotional. And I found myself, because it was around just, you've always showed up for me, Mom, even in my hard times, you've always been there for me. You've always been my biggest cheerleader. And right away in my head, I was like, but have I, again, I still struggle with, I'd been divorced for a long time, but, I still struggle with, did I always show up for you the way I was supposed to, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that would be my example.
Yeah, that's a great example, because I think, again, we've talked a lot about parent guilt, but parent guilt is one thing. And then there's other areas of our lives where we don't feel very confident, or we don't feel that maybe we've showed up the way that we want. And we've created a narrative, and it almost like becomes like, it's like we have a force field around us. So when people try to thank us or give or support us, it's almost like, oh, I don't deserve that. And we become uncomfortable and shift it, right? For me, there's no recent incident so much as just autopilot. This is one of the autopilots that I'm working at breaking more and more, like around, birthdays and client feedback, like that kind of stuff happens, like on your birthday, people put attention on you, and then we get regular client feedback from the results we help them get. And so there I'm a little bit more comfortable. I think I just have more reps. I've done more reps there, so it's easier, right? It's like going to the gym. But most of the time on other stuff, I deflect, downplay, and change the subject and slip into self-erasure, right? Like I do this a lot. I mean, I've talked about doing a lot of reflecting these days, and part of getting my mornings back is I've got a lot of time to think, but just this overperforming side of me that, we talked about that on an early show when you guys were on a high performer versus overperformer, and I'm still very much a recovering overperformer, and I am much more comfortable being useful, Eric, because there's a story I've told myself for years. That's the only reason people keep me around, right? That I didn't think I was worthy of love. I've talked about the deep self-loathing, and so I couldn't imagine how anybody else could really love me. But useful guy to have in your corner, fuck yeah, right? Because useful, Eric, you need something, Jesus, like I will do whatever it takes to get it done, and to the point even of completely ignoring my own needs, and sometimes even to my own detriment, right? So all of this is really tied together for me, and again, this show has caused some, like you were saying, this was like, let's talk about something else.
Can we fast forward through this one? Yeah,
that's why we're so exhausted after.
I know,
because we're like, man, that was deep.
Yeah, whose idea was it for us to be vulnerable?
This topic? Yeah.
Yeah, mine's not so deep. For me, I remember it was at work. I came into work one morning and someone had just left me like a little sticky note that just said, "You're awesome," or "You're doing a great job." And work was hard at that time. And I remember I just got the note and I got completely like overwhelmed by someone leaving me just a nice, kind word. I didn't know who it was. I found out who it was, but I didn't know who it was. And I remember just being like, oh my God, that's so thoughtful. Like, who's the person who left this and who's thinking of like, so you talk about like receiving. I'm like, I'm not receiving. No. And I had all the emotions in the world around it, but I'm like, it's funny. It's one little note with a few words on it, but it had huge impact.
It's interesting how, when you talk about this with people, there's almost this idea that it's weakness to receive. It's weakness to
fuck you,
right? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I'm feeling very vulnerable right now.
And to our listeners, yes, we're friends.
Best of.
Yes. No, but we do, right? There's not everyone sees it this way, but a lot of people do see whether it's, it's not so much even just the asking for help, but as you said earlier, like when people offer help without us even asking, it's like weakness to receive that, to say yes, to say, where's that come from? Why is it as a society that we see receiving as a weakness?
No, I learned it by reward, right? My family of origin, home that I grew up in, I've talked about it before, and my dad's gone now. My mom would never listen to the show, so I'm safe in saying just about anything. But I was raised by a workaholic dad, a great man, but he worked his ass off to the point of driving himself sick. And a narcissistic mother. The only way I truly got noticed, and it's not that there's not a lot of great family memories and moments, but what I recognize was the theme was I got attention when I performed well. So, I was the kid getting 100% in school. I was the kid that was actually a grade ahead of his time, right? Because I got fed. Like when I did shit like that, I got attention. I got praise, right? And then in my young leadership career, it's the same, right? I started off as a young leader, and very quickly at 17, you're like pushed to the front of the room, and all of a sudden, like you got people saying, "Oh, that was a really great speech you just gave, Eric, and that was really good." And now you're like, "Oh, okay, right." So when I give and when I perform and so it got programmed into me really, really young and early on that giving is the thing to do. And of course, the religious background we came from, self-sacrifice, dying to self, it was like equal to godliness, for Christ's sake.
It is better to
give than to receive. What is bullshit? I mean, I don't think that, I think those are the red words. I don't think what Jesus meant there is that receiving is bad, but I think, again, you got to question whether he actually said that, but that's another story. That's another story. I feel like that one was added later by someone else, but honestly, like the programming ran so deep that for me, that almost allergic, right? Like it's taken a lot of work I'm better now, but it's still an area I do not want to be in. I feel there's a threat level for me, literal threat level. It's like DEFCON 3. When I feel like I'm the center of attention and people are taking care of me, it's like, I'm not useful anymore. I'm a burden now.
It's interesting that you say that, and the story that came to mind, because I didn't have a story for this one until you started to share about with your parents.
You're welcome.
And the thought that came to mind was when my mom passed away, she wrote letters to my brother, my sister, and I. Before she passed away, she didn't write the letters after
from the grave, folks.
Before she passed,
you heard it here first.
Yeah, before she passed away, she wrote these letters, and in mine, one of the things she talked about is I never have to worry about you. I won't worry about you. You're always there for everyone else. You're the bridge. You're the bridge builder. You're the one that keeps everybody together. And I remember even at the time being unsettled with what she wrote, because I was like, but I want to be taken care of by you. You're my mom, right? Like I remember it was one of those moments, and that comes to mind again is that to your point is I know for me so much of my life I was celebrated by being the one who shows up, the one who takes care of others, the one who isn't in need is able to, take care of others. Even when my daughter died, that was my go-to reaction was to make sure the church was okay, to make sure that my family was okay. I grieved privately and alone, but publicly I needed to be a man of faith who really took care of everybody else. So
living
right.
in a fishbowl in that world, right? Like you remember that, like it wasn't just your life that was under scrutiny, like constant scrutiny.
Oh yeah,
your family, your kids, right? Your relationship with your ex, like our exes, it was all under scrutiny. There was no room for fucking up or making a mistake, and so keeping it together, being the one that had it all together and had all the answers, like that's what we learned really early on.
So that's one of the beliefs, that it's weak. The other belief is a belief around control. And I'm not gonna ask Eric, because I know that this is not an issue for him at all.
No.
We'll get to Eric in a second, but how does this play out for you guys? This notion of receiving, giving, receiving, and kind of where control comes into that.
Yeah, I think I can use an example. So my ex and I used to have this debate because I love to give gifts. You know that. Like
and I'll have to say, probably the most thoughtful gift giver I have ever met. Like nothing is by chance.
No.
It's not like walk in, pick the first card you see, or buy the first. It's all very, very thought through about what's very meaningful to. It's part of your love life.
Thank you. Yes. And so we had this debate that he would always say that when I would give a gift, he's like, it's not for the other person, it's for you. He's like, it makes you feel good. And I said, it does make me feel good. But I'm also, because it's a thoughtful gift and because I'm not just randomly picking something, it's not about the act of giving for me. It's the whole thing is about making somebody else feel like that they were considered and there was thought behind it. And so it's this double-edged sword where, yes, I feel happy. It brings me joy to bring you joy, for instance, if I do it. But I don't do it for me. I do it for the other person. So for me, like this debate over, like, I get like the control thing there is I'm controlling the narrative. But I can tell you when Eric gets me a really thoughtful gift, I feel like I know what he put into it because I do it all the time. So for me, I don't know if I'm controlling it because I can control how I feel in this space. I have a different view. The control for me is not there when I give gifts.
Yeah. What about for you?
I think being the giver makes us feel safe because we are kind of in that control state, and we can control the flow in terms of like how we expect how we kind of expect the person's reaction is going to be. We kind of, whatever thought we're putting into it. And I know for me, like I'll kind of imagine, what that's going to look like. But I feel like letting someone, like when we break down the walls of control, that's almost like letting somebody in, and that can be scary for a lot of for a lot of people. Yeah. Because you're showing your vulnerable side of being, that on that side of the coin.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think it depends on the context and the situation. I think there's giving that I do or receiving that I do, like receiving from you and is much easier. But there's definitely an element of control, and you just alluded to it. When you're the giver, you get to set the terms. You're in the driver's seat, right? You're holding the power, and you can avoid being seen as needy again, which is something I continue to work on. Which is funny because from a young age, even as a young leader, I've always tried to lead with vulnerability and transparency, sharing my story, and in doing so, reveal aspects of my life that most people wouldn't talk about. And I know I've gotten feedback my whole life that thank you for that, because it gives me permission to do the same. And when you go first, you help others do it too. And yet, when it comes to this whole allowing others to support me, and again, I'm very, very aware of these two complementary unhealthy scripts of useful Eric and don't be a burden. Like they just rear their ugly heads, and it's something I continue to have to work on, because it's just so easy for me to slide into I don't matter, and no, you don't be doing this, and wait a second, if I'm needy, will you leave me? Because are you connected to me just because of what I can do for you?
Yeah,
that I can do really well.
And it's interesting that you talk about, because you're right. You and I both have been people who have led with vulnerability. Now I learned this about myself, is that I'm when I'm sharing the narrative and sharing the story of vulnerability, I'm still in control, right? So I choose what's said, what's not said, how I say it, how it shows up. And there's a different type of vulnerability that comes in the receiving, where when I'm sharing my story, I'm actually still in giver mode. I'm giving.
Fuck you again.
Right? But it is, right? We're giving of ourselves in order to impact other people, but we're doing it in that very controlled way. It is risky. And Eric, I want to lean in because I so appreciate your vulnerability here. I love watching you be uncomfortable. No, I'm just kidding.
What are you talking about? Not uncomfortable at all.
When you talk about that, why is it so risky? Why for so many is this notion of being open and okay with receiving so risky?
I think it, honestly, like I've been doing so much work on or reflection on this issue of control, and the latest and how much of that still is at play in my life. And the most recent example is back in July, I hired a fitness coach. It was time. I had been neglecting my health for better part of a year, as I was telling myself all the bullshit stories that the business needed me to do this and I'll get back to it sometime. And then before you know it, I've put on some weight and I'm not feeling great. Anyway, I'm down like 24 pounds and I'm feeling better than I have in a long time. All my old clothes fit me again. It's like I got a brand new wardrobe. So that's all great. But I recently, by the time this this show airs, it'll be a few months, but we were at the cottage and I was following at the time. It was part of my getting back to health plan. Part of it was my nutrition piece. And I started to spin out of control one day because I felt like I was not able to manage it. And I was struggling to hold to the plan and whatever else. And you remember, I started to spiral. And I had been so disciplined. I didn't miss one to this day. Since I started July 21st, I haven't missed a workout. I may have delayed the workout because I couldn't do it that day, but I've hit every workout. I've been very disciplined on my eating, and it's been a really great journey. But what I recognize is, oh, look at me. I just shifted what I put my control on. So now I've become rigid with this. And here I am trying to manage my anxiety and manage like all this stuff by just look at what Eric can do. And look, right? Like this performance piece for me is really big. And you were really so helpful and was like, really? Like you're going to let go one day and this is all going to fall apart and you're going to lose it all? And I was like, of course not. Like that doesn't even make sense in my head, right? But control is like that. Control, it feels tight. It feels rigid. It feels like
anxiety.
It does.
And it's filled with fear, dude. It's full of fear. And so I think for a lot of folks, receiving is very much the same way. I risk exposing myself. I risk letting someone in. You talked about this notion of connection and relationship. If I can't receive, when we struggle to receive, we're doing this, right? And for our listeners, I'm putting my hands up, pushing back, right? They're tuning in, not by video, but we're pushing people away. We're not letting them in. And yet true connection is based on authenticity, vulnerability, and saying, here's the real media, take me or leave me kind of thing, right? So that's,
I think that's,
it's loaded.
It really is. And we're going to talk about connection and the gift of receiving as part of how you connect to other people. But before, what about for you guys? Why is this a risk? Why is this a challenge? What shows up? I want to hear from you, Wendy, and then I definitely want to hear from Kate on this one.
Okay. In that order.
Yes, in that order. Definitely. Yes.
You've never been so, it was very prescriptive.
He's being very much the hosty host right
only
now.
Because I know what's coming in the notes.
I might veer away from my notes.
Yeah, you may say something else now.
So I feel
yes.
Receiving. Stop. It means being very seen. Flaws, needs, and all.
You're seen right
which
now.
Is
wow.
Which is strange because I have been one of those people that has been very open and transparent publicly on a lot of my flaws, my journey, that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure why receiving would feel risky. Like I haven't really kind of identified that in my head, but I struggle with having the spotlight on me. I really, really do, which is very weird because I'm literally on a stage wearing a microphone every day in front of tons of people.
Yeah.
But I always want, like, no matter what I'm putting into it, no matter what I'm delivering, no matter what I'm coaching, I always want the other person to feel celebrated. I always want them to feel like they are the ones taking whatever it is that I'm giving them. But that's not on me. That's on them. This is all about you. And so I really, because I never want it to be like, oh, Wendy this and Wendy that. I'm like, no, I don't want to be on this. I don't want to be in the spotlight.
I think a lot of people feel like that. I think a lot of people feel like that. I know for me, it's if you offer me help, it's like, for me, that means I'm failing. I don't have my shit together. So what are you seeing? Clearly I'm not showing this perfect, like, I got my shit together. So for me, it's like someone's shining a light on everything I'm fucking up. So when someone offers help, I'm like, my instinct is like,
I got it.
Why the hell are you offering me help? Like, why do you think I can't do this on my own? I've been doing it on my own. And then that script just runs like crazy. So when someone offers help, you're like, and I know we're going to get into this in the relationship. I'm not giving Rob his line. I'm not going to do it. Okay, so
time when Eric has offered help.
Was there a specific time I offered to do something for you?
There was an episode where I talked about Eric offering to mow my lawn.
Thank you for allowing us to be immature.
There you go.
From.
For the record, I've offered many times.
I've always accepted. For the record.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steer ducking.
Yeah, no, but
poor Kate and her lawn.
I know.
It needs mowing.
Edward Scissorhands?
I sure hope not.
Speaking of mowing lawns, let's talk connection.
Oh. Nice segue.
Nice segue.
Nice
there,
segue. Yeah.
Deep connection?
Because when we think about giving and receiving, and in those relationships that matter most, talk about how the way we give, the way we receive, leads to or drives connection for us.
Well, I think, like, my example, like not letting Eric give or me not receiving, it can create resentment potentially for him towards me because I'm not letting him in. For some reason, I don't trust him with that part of me. I can see over time that it could lead to resentment, right? It could just lead to, like, you start to lose that little trusted space, and then I'm not being vulnerable, and then he's questioning why I'm not being vulnerable, and then I think the vulnerability is what leads to the true connection. Yeah. So part of it is in a relationship, at least a romantic one, is it's letting your guard down. This is your safe space. It doesn't mean it's always easy, but also understanding that by me letting Eric in, it's for him as much as it's also for my own growth. It's for our intimacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think how we feel when someone rejects our offer to help, right? Like, so if we go back to the giving side of the equation, for me, like if someone, the more meaningful, the higher the stakes, the more meaningful the relationship, the deeper the sting that I feel when someone close to me says, no, I'm good. Right now, part of that is I've made it about me all of a sudden in that moment, and my useful Eric is not feeling useful. There's nothing I can do, and in that moment, I'm still working on whole Eric just being loved for who he is, and not how that he can get 100% on his English test. Right, like, I'm still working on shifting that narrative, and understanding that oftentimes when someone close to me just says, "No, I'm good." Unless they're truly deflecting, it's just an expression of their own agency, their own autonomy and capacity to handle the problem. And they're good. They're honestly good. And then I end up making it about me, and then spiraling down this hole of well, they don't love me. They're going to leave me. They're going to see that they can do this without me. And all of a sudden, where does that leave me? Right. But that's a really insecure place to live and a really unhappy place to live. And I would say to all the givers that are watching this show, because I think there are folks that are what I call it's one thing to give, but there are people that are givers, right?
Yeah.
Like that's their superpower. And I would put myself in that category. You're definitely one too. Both of us are. I would say your needs are valid. Your needs actually matter. Not everyone else's. Your needs matter. And the more you can start getting present to that, that's been the work for me and continues to be the work for me, is to say it's okay for me to give without erasing myself. It's okay to receive. That's not a threat to the relationship. It's an expression of love and care. And that leaning, again, more and more trying to lean into that whole, Eric, as opposed to chasing my tail.
Yeah,
on the other side of the equation.
And I'm tying in. I know we're kind of looking at our notes. I'm riffing off of a couple of the different questions
noticed.
With this. Yeah, I could see you're all kind of like,
where did he just go?
I'm thinking back to, I think, Kate, you were the one who first introduced this in an episode quite a while ago. Is something I think you learned from Brene Brown, I think, and this was around energy. And even as a couple, you come in and say, "Hey, listen, I'm at a 4, I'm at a 2," right? Like, to me, that is such a powerful example of the giving and receiving tension in a relationship, and how it can bring that relationship much stronger for people to come stronger together, is that ability to come in and say, and it's hard for a lot of people to come in and say, "Hey, today I'm at a 2.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I need you to show up as an 8 to help right." I think of just recently being sick. Now, we can joke around in man colds, and I'm not somebody when I'm sick I don't do well with someone taking care of me.
No.
And
does he become grumpy?
And I struggle when Wendy is she was so good with just, "Here, let me make you some soup," and the number of times I'd be like, no, don't bother, I don't want to, I'm fine, I can take care of it, and she just ignores that and just goes ahead and does it. And I'm so grateful for it, and made the point of, after I was feeling better, saying thank you for putting up with my bullshit when I'm grumpy like that. But yeah, it's hard to come in and say, "Hey, I'm a 2 today, can you be the 8?"
Well, like chronic use of "I'm fine and I've got it" is a closed door. And over time, couples stop trying and teams stop showing up. I wrote, resentment grows where reciprocity dies. And so when we continually send the message, I'm good, I'm fine, I don't need your help, over time, it can actually be very damaging to a relationship, because it's in those moments, again, of openness and vulnerability where we let the other person in, and we're willing to let them see that we don't have our shit all together, and that we have bad days, and we have moments where we are needy. We are, and not but we have needs that they can meet. Now, I'm still a firm believer that I am my primary and best caregiver is for me, and I don't look to other people to do that. I think that's unhealthy if you look to others to meet your primary needs. But shutting people out from meeting needs in your life is actually it's a real closed door that can harm you and harm the relationship.
It's also, it's fucking exhausting. I'm sorry, but trying to keep it together all the time and not receiving, not allowing help, not allowing the people who love you in, it's actually exhausting. Because you're constantly putting up this, it's like the fight. You're just constantly proving to yourself that you're good. I don't need anyone. I'm good. I got this. And that's, I think, far more exhausting than actually being vulnerable in a moment and saying, "Hey, Like the number of times my girlfriends will check in when I was single and I was sick and they're like, what do you need? And I'm like, I don't need anything. But really, I need medication. I need you to go get me soup. Like, I feel like shit.
I actually need a ton of stuff.
Can you just tell me that like you love me and I'm fantastic? Like I need all those things, but I won't. I very rarely would ever accept it. And so, yeah.
What about
Yeah.
you?
Well, you and I have had many conversations around, I don't know, you say I'm stubborn. I don't understand why.
I don't remember ever saying that.
I'm not stubborn.
But, classic to me doing so much on my own for so many years and learning how to celebrate myself. And I don't need anybody else to celebrate me. I've got my armor on, my crown is straight, and I'm carefully holding up all the bricks that I've placed.
Or not so straight.
Right, exactly. But but I'm tired as fuck, but it's okay. I have it all under control. Everything is fine. And you, in your most annoying, calm and steady voice. No, just kidding.
I know.
And, just your ability to be like, I'm not saying you don't have it under control. You do have it under control. You're doing a great job. But let me take some of the burden off. Let me help you. Let me give you a hand so that you have a little more room to breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think another whole other level. It's I'm still working on receiving it. And I think in the right moments I've learned to ask. But it's not my go-to. But I think there's like the courage to receive, and then there's the courage to actually ask and say, I need help right now.
I think that's a great step of growth as well.
I think huge, because now you're so far we're talking about like when people reach out to us. So we're reacting or responding to somebody else's generosity or kindness. Here we're talking about like I'm initiating. I'm putting up my hand going, hey, can you help me with this? I could really use your support. And again, I think that requires an even deeper level of vulnerability, courage, and authenticity.
Yeah, your partner, your friends, your family, they're not mind readers. Like they don't know, and everyone has their own stuff going on. And so you can't always know what is actually happening with the other person. Yes, you can see your person's busy, or you can see they're hurting, but you don't always really know. And you can ask, what do you need in this moment? And we've had this conversation. Well, Eric will ask me, and I've said it 1,000 times. I don't fucking know what I need right now, right? Like I know I need something, but I don't know what I need.
Yeah.
But the ability, I think, to ask is what you just said is really critical, because it's so important to also have that growth to be able to ask for what you need.
And one of the great responses, sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to speak over you, but I think you and I practice this, and I believe you guys do as well. We've talked about it on the show, this whole, what do you need? How can I help? As opposed, because let's face it, like men are fixers. So the second when something's wrong, we fix shit. Like that's what we do. That's where we feel most comfortable and capable. And so we double down on that stuff. And we often like try to fix something, and that's not what's required. Sometimes we've talked about this. Sometimes you just need someone to listen, or just someone to empathize. And so not defaulting. So to the men listening, don't default to fix mode when your significant other is indicating any kind of need. Check in. What do you need? How can I help? Will save you for probably several nights of sleeping on the couch.
When I shared that with a client back a couple months ago now, and he was like, of everything we talked about in that coaching session, and so even though I at the end of my coaching session, I often review, okay, so here's the homework, here's what you're going to do over the, what we're going to work.
It's so funny. We talk business and all this other stuff, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I start to go, okay, so let's just review the homework you're going to do. And he goes, no, there's only one thing I'm doing. He says, I want to practice that for the next month. And I'm like, okay. I had other stuff for you to do too, but okay. Yeah. And just how that shifts. There is something that shifts when we see receiving as a gift. And I remember having these conversations with my girls when they were quite young, because up until probably the last 4 or 5 years that I was in the church world, before that, just about every place that I worked as a pastor, I was making less than, I was basically below the poverty line. I was not. You certainly don't go into ministry to get rich. Most,
well, unless you live in the Bible Belt in the U.S.
Yeah, and I can remember times where people would bring groceries over, or they would stop by with,
I
remember one time somebody came over and brought a computer. And it was like it was for one of the girls. They had an extra computer and we thought maybe, and I remember saying to my girls early on, treat these as gifts, that this is somebody who is choosing, they want to bless you and they're doing this, and out of giving to you, they're going to be able to receive a blessing from that.
Yeah.
And to really learn that. But what does shift when we take that mindset of receiving as a gift?
Yeah, it's a gift to the giver, 100%. Yeah. For me, it shifts a lot. Like when I start to see it not as a debt that I now owe, right? It's like, I don't want to be in debt to anybody. And when you receive, like, you're going to do something, I'm like, is like, are we keeping track of that? Is that going on a spreadsheet with interest? Like, but it moves from this debt thing, a debt I owe, rather than a connection I get to nurture, right? When someone's being generous and is giving and offering help, when you receive it, I think what you're saying to them is, I trust you with me in this moment, right? I trust that you got my best interest at heart. It's the opposite of a fear-based or control-based response. And because both of those are close-hearted. It's an open-hearted response. It's from crossing your arms to opening your palms, and right, an open gesture of saying, I'm allowing you in.
It's the vulnerability piece, which is what increases that connection piece.
Yeah.
But it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
connection
hard.
is the big piece, because I think it turns the whole exchange it takes the whole exchange from obligation into connection, which really is a win for both people.
Yeah. It's moving away from for me, I'm only valuable when I'm giving. Right? Again, that still runs strong. But think of it this way: if people weren't offering to help, weren't offering to support you, it's actually the fact that they're doing that is a sign of your worth and your value, right? And yet we treat it as the opposite. It kind of, wow, I'm just realizing that as I said it out loud.
That's powerful. We're 4 or 5 minutes left here. We're going to start to land the plane. Let's get real practical with how do we do this better? How do we really do that? First, how do we know when we're receiving genuinely? Like, how do we know when this is not just going through the motions, or, oh yeah, thank you. How do we know when that's
I'll tell you when I figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Stay tuned for part 2.
I think you feel it. I think you learn to
100%.
not, I think, we sometimes tend to gravitate to making jokes or to just deflecting and, changing the subject. I think when you find yourself not doing that as much and really genuinely feeling it, I think that's when the shift.
Yeah. And when you pause a little bit, like you're not rushing through to your, like, thank you, great, off we go. Like, I think you're pausing.
Yes.
And you're feeling. And I think those two things make a big difference.
Yeah. I would agree with all of that.
Yeah.
You feel it in your body. There's a pace shift. There's an energy shift. And I think the other person feels that as well.
You got people listening, people watching, and they're, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to start.
Or maybe they're not.
Or maybe I'm not. Yeah. But
I don't even know if I am.
But for those that are ready. All right. So what advice would you guys give to Eric?
Yes, please. I'm an open book.
For someone
Please,
who is saying,
me.
okay, I know you sold me on the value of this being a gift, of this. I want to get more connected with those closest to me by engaging in this practice of receiving. What would you say to them? What would be a way to get started on this?
I think you have to do your own work. And what I mean by that is you have to believe sometimes what the other person is saying. You have to believe it first. And I think at your core, if you don't believe it, you're not going to believe it when someone else says it. And so I think the work is really with you. Yeah. I think you have to, if someone says you're beautiful and you don't feel like you're beautiful, I'll use a high level one, but you'll deflect. You'll be like, oh no, you know what? Oh, I just threw this. Oh, this whole thing. Like you'll deflect and deflect and deflect. And so I think the work is it's a job you have to do for yourself first to feel worthy so that when someone else says it, you're like, oh yeah. Like, I know that. And then, but it's nice to hear it, but it's like, you don't require it for belief or for worth.
Right.
There's a difference.
Learning to receive. The phrase that came to mind is an inside job. And it begins with the work of radical self-acceptance. And self-acceptance doesn't start as radical. Sometimes it starts as barely there. But little by little, step by step, as you begin to work on your understanding that you're already as worthy and valuable as you'll ever be. You don't need to do anything to earn that. You don't do anything to prove that it's actually something you just possess as a human being is incredible worth and incredible value. But I know it took me a long time to get there, and we preach it now that it's like I don't think you could have said it any better. Like how can I receive? I think part of why I struggled for so long is how could I receive? I didn't believe I deserved it. I'm like, if you only knew the real me, if you only knew the thoughts that run through my head and the anxiety that I live with and the fear that I'm going to get found out and exposed for, the scared little kid that I really am standing in front of this room trying to lead all these other people. I'm like, you're going to be running out the door as fast as I want to run out the door sometimes. But when you do that work, you open the door for that to happen more and more. That was beautifully said.
I love that for sure. Okay, so we're giving advice to those who are ready to receive. What about those who are not yet ready to receive? And they're like, all right, I just want to be a better giver. Let's make the argument that learning how to be a good receiver will make you a better giver. How would that play in?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. That's a great question. Well, I think for many of the reasons we've already said, like when you learn to receive, I think you learn real generosity, because I think a lot of the giving and being like an overperforming giver who slides into erasing himself in the process, I can say that what I'm learning is that often that giving and my generosity, a lot of it's genuine. It's part of who I am. But there are times when I'm overdoing it, that literally it's fear-based, it's control-based, it's all about me. You talked about it earlier. You said, well, that for me, it's very genuine when I give gifts, and I think we slide into it. So learning to receive, I think you learn both. It's like you're living on one side of the coin and you're missing the whole other side, right? So it's incomplete.
Yeah, that's well said. I think being a receiver, in theory anyways, I think means for me is giving with intention to a very specific group of people. I think a lot of people give because it makes them feel good, and they give all over the place. And when you start receiving from the people you really care about, I think the narrative shifts to you wanting to really give to those people that you care about. And the fleeting like giving that soaks you or like sucks you dry, I think those minimize. I think when you receive wholeheartedly, you give wholeheartedly, and you're not just giving to give.
The image I just got was we want to be the star quarterback. We're calling the plays. We're passing the ball, right? We're driving it down the field, and we have receivers, right? But maybe I like being the star quarterback.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about for you?
Well, I don't think I have really anything else to add. What Kate said and like what both of you said really tied into what my thoughts as well. I think a lot of it starts with working on yourself and thinking about tuning into being present. And that then, in my feelings, really start to overspill into joy that then overflows versus obligation.
the star quarterback, before he can give the ball, has to receive the ball. And in
fuck you for a third time.
And it has happened many times where if that's the guy who's the center, it goes injured and they have to bring in somebody who does not have that relationship with the quarterback, that game falls apart real quick because the quarterback is not good at receiving from someone he hasn't learned to receive from. And so you're right.
Start where it's safe.
The star quarterback starts where it's safe with the right receiver. And I think that
I knew it was a great analogy when I thought of it ahead of time.
Great, as I always say, listen, thank you guys.
Wow, great conversation.
And I want to say, Eric, especially,
I'm going to go crawl under a rock.
You've been very vulnerable today, and I so appreciate it. And for all of you that are listening and tuning in, thank you. We've covered a lot today, and here's the beauty: is that you don't need to carry or work through all of this on your own. We've created the Living Richly Nation just for that purpose, so that you can be around other like-minded people. I want to encourage you to check that out. You can go to the Living Richly website, livingrichley.me, and you'll see a link to the Facebook group, and you can check everything out there. And for those of you that are business owners and leaders in organizations, we are so grateful for our sponsor, Rhapsody Strategies. I want to encourage you to check out the website, rhapsodystrategies.com, where you can learn all about the different business offerings that we have. You don't need to go at it alone either. As a leader of an organization or a business owner who is continually giving to others, give yourself the gift of receiving coaching. We would be so happy to talk to you about that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure that you share out this episode with those that you think could receive from it today. And until then, get out there and enjoy your best life.